Greetings, viewers. I apologize for my terrible mistake in the last episode. I forgot R. Oh, don't judge me. You didn't notice it either. Hey guys, it's me again. This episode is disassemble of Margaret. Hang tight. The pedal is beginning of every process. Disassemble pedal doesn't seem like big deal, but it makes you confusing if you do this first time. As you can see, the right one is loosened by rotating the spindle to the left. But the left one, you have to turn the spindle to the right, because it's the left-handed screw. Let's find out more about the pedal and its removal and installation. Pedal, they are similar than us. We all look like same person, but the direction and the way of idea is not. Sadly, this difference always disturbs our step to the forward. Pedals also have the same look and its own direction, and the pedals move forward through their differences. But unlike us, the pedals kindly show us their direction, and of course they work very equally. We should better run these from pedals. For removal or installation pedals need tools like this. If you're gonna buy a tool for pedals, I'll recommend multi-tool like this. This simple multi-tool works very well at all purpose it has. If your pedal spindle has a hexagonal hole like this, 6mm Allen key also can use. Remember this pause, then it'll be helpful when you remove or install your pedals. And also remember the direction. To the backward, loosen. Forward, tighten. I think that's all about the pedal disassembling, but there are a few tips you should know about installing pedals. Before install pedals, check the hole with your finger or cotton swab. You can feel the debris or damage in the hole. Use your finger when you screw in the spindle. If you use the tool when a thread on an incorrect position, it could damage pedal and crank seriously. Put a little bit of lubricant like grease or oil on the thread. It could make things smoother and easier. If you have thread rocker, it's better than grease, but you shouldn't use them at the same time. When spindle pulley screws in, use your tool and tighten it softly and constantly, not too hard. It's for pedal, not that thing. And yes, seconds ago I did say tighten not too hard. Why? Because during the ride, constant force applied in the direction in which the spindle tightens. If it tightens too hard or tightens without any lubricant, it can damage the thread or may cause cold welding between crank arm and spindle. Then how much force we need? Some manufacturers recommend assembling pedals 35 to 55 Nm. Well, that is pretty strong torque, and not everyone has a torque wrench that can be tightened with that much force, but I think it's okay. It's personal thinking, but pedals are not that easily loosened if it's installed with enough force. As a like screen, tighten gently and continuously until the spindle does not turn anymore. And don't forget the lubricant or thread rocker. Never tighten repeatedly with strong force like this. Let's back to the real world. Let's remove the cables. Loosen brake cable fixing nut and removing the cable end. Rear brake in the same way. Loosen the fixing fixing nut and cable end. And also loosen the gear cable, fixing nut, and pull off cable end and remove gear cable from derailleur. And next is rear wheel. Most of Jeep bike using nut for wheel mounting.
Yay!
16mm or 5/8 spark plug socket or wrench will fit. Side stand to the trash can. It's not hard to remove rear wheel after losing the nut. Remove derailleur guard and derailleur too. The hanger integrated derailleur can easily remove with screwdriver or wrench. And remove seat post and saddle, also cargo rack. Removing cables from frame. The handle can easily remove without any tools due to QR type quill stem. And same as rear wheel, remove the front wheel. Now is the crank. As you can see, this is lead take clip. I forgot recording it. Yes, that's the reason why I call myself moron. You should use it to this kind of mistake. Let's get back to work. Using 14mm socket, loosen the crank arm fixing bolt. This is crank puller. Screw out the pussy bolt to the end and screw in puller itself into crank arm spindle hole. Screw in it until end of thread. Screw in the pussy bolt by Allen key. Voila! Let's remove non-drive side. I have bad feeling about this. The thread is all gone. I found out after the taking clip that the crank and spindle were also stuck. As you can see, I couldn't use the crank puller, and the crank arm stuck with the spindle. You may think of a hammer for solving this situation. Don't even think about the hammer. Hammer can make damage the thread on the bottom bracket or deform the crank arm. So I'm gonna use another way instead of Clarkson method. Release the rock ring and adjust cup, and take out the entire crank arm, spindle, and adjust cup. Damn, I hate this. Using rock ring wrench, loosen the rock ring. The adjust cup can be removed with a typical size adjustable wrench. Just like the clip, Margaret's adjust cup opened very easily. There are two possible reasons. First, I think someone disassembles the bottom bracket before and spread the grease on the thread when reassembling it. And second, 2 days before disassemble Margaret, I sprayed a lot of WD-40 inside the C-tube. There are some debris and rust inside the BB shell, but it looks okay to me. Let's remove fixed cup on the drive side. But I have vice grip. Fixed cup is left-hand threaded. As you can see, it loosened that rotated right. I'm using a vice grip because I'm going to replace bottom bracket. Please use proper size or designated tool if you're gonna reuse bottom bracket. This bottom bracket shortly BB is important part. Shall we take a look at the bottom bracket a little more? Cup type bottom bracket consists of spindle, a parallel bearing, and the adjust cup and the fixed cup that place the spindle and bearing in the BB shell. And finally, a rock ring that locks up the adjust cup. The biggest feature and weakness of the cup type bottom bracket is necessary of adjustment. This is ideally set cup type bottom bracket. It's just a quite good system except for its weight. But if the adjust cup is too tightened, all parts, especially bearing, get unnecessarily rigid and cannot rotate smoothly. In that circumstance, damaging bearings and spindle is unavoidable. Or if the adjust cup is loose, is chaos. And this can cause of damaging parts, gear changing troubles, chain deviation, noise, various mental disorders, and adult diseases. For this reason, cup type bottom bracket needs periodic inspection and maintenance. And I think this gap between the spindle and the two cups is a second factor that creates the necessity for periodic maintenance. Introducing the moisture and the dust. They can easily penetrate this gap. Let's talk about simple common knowledge of the material. When steel meets moisture, the rust occurs, and rust meets the dust, and rotor motion is bye-bye bottom bracket. Farewell, my little steel friend. Disassemble the cup type bottom bracket needs 3 different tools. 3 different. The specifications or tools may vary depending on the manufacturer, so make sure to check the specification before disassembling. I thought my biggest wrench can handle both cups, but it wasn't. The fixed cup was too big. So I bought this tool after I took this clip. It can use narrow spot because it's thin, and this single tool can be used for 4 different sizes of the part. That means this tool can be used not only for bottom bracket, but also the threaded headset. Let's back to bottom bracket. If your bottom bracket has the thread on its both sides, and the direction of thread is opposite, finally, is the BB shell has 34.8mm diameter and 68 or 73mm width. Then we call that kind of bottom bracket like this. ISO, BSA, BSC, BC, British, English, Euro, and a type which is make you always confusing. It's all the same thing. If your bicycle is one of them, you can use cartridge bottom bracket like this. More reliable, maintenance-free, much better. And also can use this kind of much lighter modern external bottom bracket. But if you use external bottom bracket, you have to replace the crank also. Well, it depends on cases, but it may not be a reasonable choice for cheap bike. Let's get back to work. Removing V-brake is very easy. Anyone can do this with Allen key. Margaret uses 1-inch threaded headset. To disassemble this, we need huge wrench. But you know I didn't have any at the time, so I used vice grip again because I had no choice. But again, I don't recommend this tool for headset. It may hurt the surface. Loosen the rock ring, the spaces will appear. Trouble again. But don't worry, I have this. I think this tool is addictive. Adjustable lace opened easily by hand. The fork looks fine, it's a little rusty and the thread are a little clumpy, but I think it's no problem. Let's remove head tube lace. It requires this tool. Actually, this is not head tube lace remover. This is press fit BB removal tool, but if the tool has the right size and can do the same task, it can be used. And hammer. Put this stick into the hole until the tool gets its position. And hit it with the hammer. Easy. Upper side, same way. Finally, the crown race. This may be the most difficult part of self-maintenance. Let's learn more about the crown race and its removal process. This is fork. This is our fork. This is bottom part of the headset. Head tube race, bearing, and crown race. Crown race hold the bearing in place for smooth steering. Then how to remove the crown race. This is the crown race removal tool. These two parts are tightened and penetrate the gap between the crown race and the fork. Then the crown race is pushed up. But it's too expensive for just single use, so I'm going to use another way. Place a blade or screwdriver between the fork and crown race, and carefully hit the tools to create a gap. Carefully and evenly tapping the tools around the steerer tube, then the crown race will pull out from its place. First of all, I'm going to make small gap using this cutter blade. What the? Tap evenly and carefully, not too strong. If there's a certain gap, switch it to a flat screwdriver and tap it again carefully. Care should be taken throughout the process with a cutter blade or a screwdriver. If there made enough gap, carefully tap the crown race to the upside of steer tube, then it will come out. All disassemble is done. See you on the next episode. Ride safe and take care. Oh, I almost forgot this. It's important. Please subscribe. Push the little button. It's not that hard.